Because, most of the time, a group of people together will be wiser than one person. The problem is that everyone inherently knows how to use their wisdom. But a group is a collection of individuals, and gathering the wisdom of many people requires methods. Today I will talk about 4 layers of progressive methods: simple average, Bayesian inference, dynamic weighting, and polarization. The first method, simple average. In the previous paragraph, a 2-part movie appeared on Douban. The director was very angry and said that it had ruined his 12 years of hard work. No one sympathized with him. Douban rating 5-star system. 5 stars is 10, 1 star is 2 points. The score of more than 99% is 1 star. People believe in Douban ratings, not directors' self-ratings. This is correct. The last time I checked the ratings, 17,022 people rated it. Do you believe 17,022 people, or do you believe one person? Ratings can be more than just ratings. They can be much bigger. They can be evaluations of events that have happened, like scoring a movie. They can be predictions of events that will happen, like opinion polls. Or they can be triggers for decisions, like taking action if your score exceeds a certain threshold. The trinity of evaluation, prediction, and decision-making comes from the aggregation of the wisdom of the crowd. Find the right aggregation method, and you have found the lever to leverage the wisdom of the crowd, which can leverage everything. Back to the scoring mechanism of Douban, which is the first algorithm we will talk about today, average aggregation. Douban aggregation method, founder Abayi once explained himself, in principle, is one person, one vote, simple average. Simple is simple. This method is very reliable. If the number of voters is large enough and the votes are relatively independent, the accuracy of simple averages will systematically surpass individual judgments. Similar experiments have been done countless times. Take a cow to the market and let the farmers who are going to the market measure its weight visually. In the end, you will find that no farmer's judgment can exceed the sum of all the farmers' judgments, and then average them. The reason was that everyone had their own information and judgments, even if they were only aggregated using a simple and crude method like averaging. The information would be more complete than the information mastered by a single person, and the formed judgments would be more accurate. This was the original intention of group wisdom. It has been enough to beat the vast majority of judges with expert titles. The second method, Bayesian reasoning. Douban's simple averaging method is simple but far from perfect. Suppose one movie has only 2 people scoring 5 stars, and another movie has an average rating of 4.9 stars from 1 million people. Which movie is better? Simple averaging does not identify. At this time, another algorithm was needed, Bayesian reasoning, IMD, the ancestor and overlord of movie evaluation websites. Use this algorithm to solve the problem of inaccurate or unfair evaluation of a movie when very few users scored extremely high or very low. At this point, it is a more optimized evaluation mechanism than Douban. So what is Bayesian reasoning? Bayesian reasoning is a method of updating existing judgments. There are 2 main points. First, you have an existing judgment. Second, you get new information and constantly adjust and update it. This is a bit abstract. In fact, each of us in life are used. Let me give an example. For example, the first time I met you, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you, but I know a little bit about human beings. My preconceived view is that good people and bad people are 37, and 7 points are good and 3 points are bad. Then when I deal with you, I assume you are also 37. We chatted together for an hour, and I gave you an extra point, and it became 28. In the year we worked together, I thought you were great, so it became 19. This is how we use Bayesian reasoning to evaluate and judge people. How does Bayesian reasoning apply to the IMD movie scoring mechanism? Bayesian reasoning always starts with a presupposition. Since you don't know in advance what a movie score will be, give it a benchmark score, corresponding to a benchmark number of votes. The benchmark score given by IMDb is the average score of all movies on the website, such as 6.5, corresponding to the number of raters of the benchmark, such as 3,000 people. No matter what movie it is, before getting the first user score, the default score is 6.5 points, corresponding to 3,000 votes. You watch the movie, you start scoring, and new information comes in. Bayesian inference corrects the score with this new information, which changes with each user's rating. I won't list the algorithm. Roughly this is the situation. If only one user scores, then the movie score is infinitely close to the average score of the website. If there are 3,000 real users, scoring, the same as the benchmark number, then the score is exactly the average score between the actual score of 3,000 real users and the average score of the website. The average score. If the number of scoring users is very large, then the score will be extremely close to the actual scoring of these users. The issue of voter turnout has been dealt with, but the issue is not over. The third method, dynamic weighting. Is one person, one vote good enough? One person, one vote is equal, but there are many good reasons to support inequality in watching movies. The water army should not be equal to the audience. The people who pay for tickets should not be equal to those who watch for nothing. And the high-level audience should not be equal to the ordinary audience. One person, one vote does not reflect the unique information contained in each vote, which is valuable. How to liberate information. The answer is the third aggregation method we will talk about today, dynamic weighting. Nate Silver is a young man who has become famous in the field of election forecasting in recent years. His election prediction website became famous in the 2008 US presidential and congressional elections, surpassing all polls in accuracy, and continues to hold the record for high-precision predictions. Election polls are the aggregation of voters' opinions. Schiffer doesn't make predictions directly. There are already too many election polls in the US. What he does is an aggregation of these polls, which is equivalent to an aggregation of voter opinions. He dynamically adjusts the weights of each polling agency based on its historical record and current performance of accuracy. The weights of good performance are high, and the weights of poor performance are low. They are aggregated to generate predictions. How accurate is this prediction? In the 2012 US presidential election, Schiffer correctly predicted Obama's victory over Romney, which is not uncommon. What is strange is that Schiffer also predicted the outcome of the two-person victory in all 50 states. All in. This kind of algorithm is dynamic weighting. According to the different accuracy rates of the polling agencies, different weights are added. And the weights are adjusted at any time according to the next performance, and then re-aggregated. Similar algorithms are also very useful for investing. Hedge fund manager Ray Dalio uses a similar algorithm to aggregate the wisdom of crowds. His firm Bridgewater Capital, which manages $160 billion, is the most successful hedge fund of the past decade. Dalio runs the company with an extreme set of principles, which he expanded into an autobiography and turned into a new book, Principles, which he recommends to read if you are interested. Dalio's decision-making method is called belief-weighted idea meritocracy, which literally translates to credibility-weighted idea meritocracy system. Speaking of a long list, it is very simple to say in Chinese, it is just a portion. Everyone has a share, and they can speak and participate in the decision-making process. In the sense of speaking qualifications, everyone is equal, but each other's share is different. If someone has a high level and a good history of decision-making effects, their share of words will be large, otherwise their share of words will be small. If there are differences of opinion in a decision, the differences will be resolved according to different opinions' words. Each decision is recorded, and everyone's words are updated at any time according to the feedback of the decision-making effect. Dario's decision-making method is exactly the same as Schiffer's prediction of elections. This idea is not too new. It is a simple application of Bayesian reasoning. And the unique feature is that it is actually used for management decision-making. To build technology for this, reorganize management, and do it to the end, it is revolutionary. Here. The fourth method, polarization. Schiffer and Dalio have achieved the pinnacle of their respective industries by thoroughly using the logic of words to aggregate the wisdom of the crowd. Can they go one step further and do better? Philip Tetlock thinks so. That's the fourth aggregation method we're going to talk about today, polarization. Tetlock is a well-known as political scientist who leads the Good Judgment Project, a forecasting project funded by the Advanced Intelligence Research Agency, which is directly under the US Director of National Intelligence. The program aims to provide revolutionary innovation capabilities for the entire intelligence community. For several years, more than 20,000 people made continuous predictions and real-time tests. On the Good Judgment Project website, on 500 questions posed by the intelligence community, Tetrox scores each forecaster's predictions and aggregates them into a personal total score. 2% of people stand out and climb to the top level to become super forecasters. The Good Decision Project adjusts its weight distribution in the overall forecast according to each person's score to generate predictions. At this point, Tetrox's method is similar to Dario and Schiffer. The next step is Tetrox innovation, which is actually very simple. Do another processing on the prediction results formed by the weighted average, extremize, and push the prediction results in the direction of 100% or 0. For example, can Trump be re-elected president of the US? If the forecaster's weighted average prediction probability is 70, then revise it up to, say, 85%. Conversely, if the predicted value is 30, then revise it down to 15%. The rationale for polarization is this: assuming that everyone in the group has all the information about the group, they will be more confident when making predictions. The process of going from a simple average of the group to a weighted average has in fact aggregated everyone's information, but does not fully reflect the corresponding confidence. Polarization is about capturing this confidence. If it is an optimistic forecast, polarization will output a more optimistic forecast. If it is a pessimistic forecast, polarization will output a more pessimistic forecast. The prediction accuracy rate of the Good Decision Project is astonishingly high. The participants are just a group of ordinary people with decent but not special intelligence, varying educational backgrounds, and no inside information. With the help of fairly simple algorithms, their predictions beat all existing prediction systems and even beat professional intelligence analysts. To learn how to become a super forecaster, I recommend reading Tetrox's book Super Forecasting: The Art and Science of Prediction. I named him the best book of the year. By correctly aggregating the wisdom of crowds, one could obtain the closest thing to clairvoyance in this era. It was not difficult to draw an analogy. As long as the testing never stopped, there were enough participants. And the inspection and feedback were clear enough, whether it was economics, politics, finance, or other fields. The weighted average plus dynamically adjusted weights plus polarization algorithm could be used to leverage the wisdom of crowds, and the application space was huge. There is a model of artificial aggregation of crowd wisdom around me. Her sources of information are mainly first-rate media and interpersonal experience, while her opinions are formed from exchanges. One of the characteristics is that there are a large number of people, the other is that there are mixed opinions, and the third is that she has a high level. In this process, she will swing repeatedly, forming a lot of inconsistent views. Then, she has a strong ability to act. Every opinion must be made, and every decision must be taken, so the whole process goes back and forth. To be honest, I used to feel that doing this was self-contradictory and wasted energy. How could it work? Slowly, I learned that the swing of opinions is because of gradual correction in aggregation. The swing of actions is to quickly obtain feedback and adjust accordingly in implementation. To be able to reach the peak of our industry, there is no luck. Without a teacher, she found a practical algorithm for gathering and using the wisdom of crowds. The pursuit of consistency does not waste energy, and beauty is beautiful, but what is the use of ignoring feedback in a closed loop without information? Mastering Tetrox's methods, we can do better than she can. Summary of this lecture. To sum up, today we talked about how to leverage the wisdom of crowds. Everyone has some information and their own judgments, even if it is only aggregated in a simple and crude method like averaging. The information mastered by a single person is more complete and the formed judgments are more accurate. This is the original intention of group wisdom. Tomorrow, our topic of thinking training is how to train your Bayesian brain. Thinking today. Today's topic of thought: a new technology has emerged today that has the potential to be more efficient and precise in aggregating the wisdom of crowds. What do you think it is?